Member for Drysdale.
Madam Speaker, the police public safety officers are something that is extremely welcomed in the community of Drysdale. In fact, it is something that can't come soon enough. Public disorder and antisocial behaviour has been a major issue throughout the electorate, particularly around buses and housing. And I'll speak to the bus network in Palmerston. It is unfortunately antisocial behaviour about 2 years ago hit such a point that most people would no longer use it. Seniors completely stopped using the bus network about 2 years ago, and this meant they're relying on family members to come and take them to doctor's appointments. They're not going out visiting friends, all because they do not feel safe hopping on the bus. And that's a real tragedy. It's quite a toll. It means our seniors aren't as connected. And I know too, speaking with especially the adult children of those seniors, they know that their mum or dad feels a burden on the family and is not asking to travel as much as they would like. I took up an offer from Ralph Sinclair, a bus driver in my electorate. He's been a long-term territory bus driver and he's a great man. He's a very good advocate for his fellow bus drivers. And I took him up on the offer to take the Route 71 from the Palmerston depot on a Friday night, and it was the last run. That was a horrendous experience, to put it bluntly. When I arrived at the bus depot, there were fights breaking out everywhere, security attempting to de-escalate, however severely limited by the powers they had. And whilst all this was going on, whilst there was drunken violence throughout the bus depot, I saw kids from my school at Grey Primary with one of the mums trying to go see a movie at Gateway. And they came up to me all happy, they were waving, and my heart just kind of sunk in that moment that these children were being exposed to this degree of violence, drunkenness, and antisocial behaviour just to go and see a kids' movie on a Friday night. And so we can't let these, we just had a discussion about urgency, which I won't go back to because we have discussed it, but I relay that it is urgent for the people in my electorate that we act on this. It is genuinely a matter of safety. It's a matter of how we honour our seniors and the kind of world we want to bring our children into. I also was at a recent event. I'd like to thank Sarah and Daniel Fay, a 16 and 14-year-old brother and sister who catch the bus to school. And they came up to me with their mum. I was doing an event in Gunn, and they wanted to know what I was doing about bus safety because they'd had a knife pulled on them that day at the Palmerston bus depot. Obviously quite rattled, and their mother is also a teacher. They're a great family. And so they brought their children down to ask me, what am I going to do to ensure their own safety to and from school? And so I spoke to them through a number of reforms, but I particularly focused on the police public safety officers, of which they were huge supporters. And so if we're going to listen to our young people, listen to Sarah and Daniel, who wanted this yesterday, because they want to go to and from school feeling safe and not have a knife pulled on them on their simple commute to school. It also will make a huge impact in housing. housing is the single largest root cause of crime in the electorate of Drysdale. There is a huge facet of reasons, as we all know, that feed into it, but housing by far is, when we talk of root causes, it is a major root cause of crime. Allowing public safety officers to have real powers to intervene in antisocial behaviour and crime ongoing in a public housing premise will make a massive difference to the overwhelming amount of struggling community members, and I'll talk through some of them. Some of these members include neighbours such as Kristen Kent, Janet Leopoldeven, Charles Wright, Giles Smith, Daniela, Rosalind Maff, Quinton Otley, Katie Pritchard, David Drew. And whilst I just mentioned one neighbour, Katie Pritchard, to show why this government is acting with urgency and doing the measures we are, I regret to inform the House that Katie on Monday was sexually assaulted on her run, on Monday morning. I've spoken to Katie. I took a call just after we started business and spoke to Katie on the phone, where she was running through Grey. She's a woman about my age, a single woman. She's big into her fitness. And out the front of the Sin City Flats on Victoria Drive, a man came up and grabbed her in the most depraved and indecent way. She wished she had OC spray, but she was unable to get it yet. And so when I'm in this chamber, this is why I support the actions we take, the urgency in which we deliver it, because a woman like Katie should never have to endure such an attack. If we had greater law and order within those flats, public safety officers being able to control antisocial behaviour, manage tenancies that are doing the wrong thing, it could have been a preemptive measure to stop that attack. And so my heart truly goes out to Katie, and she's asked me to call her again today, which I will, and I got her permission to talk about her case because she wants people to know. She wants people to know what it's like being a woman by yourself and the crimes that are committed in our Northern Territory against vulnerable people. And so she doesn't want to be silent, and I commend Katie for that. And Katie, I'm going to do everything I can, including supporting this bill to make Drysdale that little bit safer and to hope that we have less victims moving ahead. It also goes to struggling tenants, and there are many struggling housing tenants who speak to me. Last week, before coming in the chamber, I had one senior from housing who was in my electorate office for about 3 hours crying. She did not feel safe to go back to her residence. We had the police come, we contacted housing. It is heartbreaking that a woman in her 80s who has lived in her property for 40 years, and she is an incredible woman with a huge heart. She grew up in community, came to Darwin in the 70s, and she's really proud of what she achieved in her life. She has a beautiful grandson at our North Force now, and she's quite proud of her family and what they're doing. And for her not to feel safe enough to return home on Emery Avenue just breaks my heart. And so what am I to do in this position? Well, I will support laws like this. I will support anything I can do so that she feels safer in her home. So for Nola Austral, Elma, Brian Shadford, Barry Young, Rihanna and her beautiful daughters, for Aaron Driver, Martina Parry, Dee Dee and Ian Gordon, all residents who are struggling with the antisocial behaviour going on in their housing residence. They know the police are busy, but Madam Speaker, we need to resource so that they get emergency help when they need it, so that we are doing things before the antisocial behaviour tips into a crime, and that is what these public safety officers will do. They will help tackle crime and antisocial behaviour on the buses and in public housing before it becomes an emergency, and this will free up our police to continue policing. I, for one, and I will be a very strong advocate that they have strong powers, because I want to see them be able to truly make Drysdale safer. And so I will be a very strong advocate for that. I speak to all my housing residents who reside at a number of areas, including 85 Emery Avenue, 29 Victoria Drive, Cornwallis Circuit, Wright Crescent, Emery Avenue and Essington Avenue, where I know a huge number of you feels unsafe in your public housing, and you put me here to make change. And so I do not flinch in pushing bills through. I am proud because I will not go back and tell them I slowed down any measure to keep them safer. They want this, they know it's coming, and Madam Speaker, I look forward to seeing our police public safety officers out in the community. I hope by moving this today, we can get the wheels in motion with the administration side, getting those negotiations sorted. I hope those negotiations make it a very attractive role for individuals that want to fulfill it. So I hope that we have a genuine uptake of individuals who want to step into the police public safety officer role, because I think it will be a position that you can make real meaningful change in our community, no matter where it is. But I know particularly for Palmerston, they can make a real difference, and it's a difference to people like those grade primary school kids who were going off to see a movie. You can make that group of children live a much more normal life, go see a movie with mum and the auntie on a Friday night, to our seniors so that you can catch the bus and see your friends at the local cafe, so that you can get to your doctor's appointment, so that you don't feel like a burden, because you are not a burden. And it is our job, we must honour our elderly. We have a responsibility to look after our elderly, and ensuring a safe bus network is part of it. And like I had said earlier, I have personally taken the time to see our bus network at its worst. And it is an absolute shame. I've travelled to some pretty crazy parts of the world, and I'd never seen a public transport so just a complete breakdown of behaviour. I'd not seen that anywhere in the world, Madam Speaker. And that's the reality we have, and that is why our government, some might say, you know, it's rushed, it's extreme, but that's the reality of the problems we are facing. And I will not apologise, because I'm here for the people of Drysdale, and I will ensure the people of Drysdale have the safest housing, the safest buses, And in doing that, we'll free up police to be more proactive in the community, get to more of the cases they are receiving every day. And I thank them for their hard work. And I sincerely look forward to welcoming the police public safety officers when they come into our community. And I ask for anyone that wants to make a difference in the Northern Territory's future to take up that role. And I look forward to the Minister's work in making that the most attractive role we can. Thank you.